Michael Jordan is one of the greatest basketball players of all time, but that doesn't make him immune to some pretty crazy controversies. In fact, he's actually more controversial than you might think. Starting with the Hitler mustache. One of the craziest things Michael Jordan ever did was to put his literal face on the line. And let's be honest, there's no way it was an accident. The worst part is that his mustache was actually featured in a Hanes commercial, and no one cared. Until a couple of years ago, when people realized what he did. A lot of celebrities even called him out on it, including Ashton Kutcher and Charles Barkley. But Michael Jordan never really acknowledged the mixed reactions he got, and then brushed it off as if nothing happened. No one knows why he actually did it, but some think he might have lost a bet or something. Or maybe he just wanted to see how people would react. You thought the mustache was bad? Wait till you hear about this next one. Michael Jordan made sure no one would ever look at cinnamon rolls the same way again. Now you're probably thinking, you can't really ruin cinnamon rolls, right? Well, he really proved that one wrong. The NBA player actually loves cinnamon rolls himself. In fact, he even hired a private chef who specialized in making the dessert. But here's the thing. Jordan also had a team of bodyguards following him around 24/7, and he noticed some of them eyeing the hot, fresh cinnamon rolls. Any normal person would have offered some to them since, I don't know, they literally make sure that you're protected all the time. But he didn't want anyone taking his cinnamon rolls. No. So he decided to spit on all of them. That way, there was no way any of them would ever come near them, let alone eat one. It seems like Michael Jordan just isn't a very generous person. In fact, he once tipped a poor waitress just $5. Imagine being a waitress and seeing Michael Jordan come into the restaurant you're working at. You'd probably think you've hit the jackpot, right? Well, that couldn't be any further from the truth. To put it simply, he's known for being a terrible tipper. Apparently, he has always looked down on people who work in the service industry, even though all they're doing is helping him out. When playing cards in Vegas with Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan once tipped a waitress a $5 chip for bringing them drinks all night. But instead of letting the tip stand, Gretzky stepped in and replaced it with one of the many $100 chips on Jordan's side of the table. Not only did he do that, but he also gave Jordan a stern talking to, reminding him that the waitress deserved more for all the hard work and dedication. Charles Barkley has even said he's had to write out checks and apologize to waitresses after they served Jordan because of his lack of tipping etiquette. Even though Michael Jordan doesn't seem to think people working in the service industry are worth more than $5, he thinks a moment of his life is worth $15,000. Well, that's what he charged for a photo. Michael Jordan has always been on a different level from other celebrities. He was never actually a nice person in any way, and he kept his distance from fans throughout the years, and most people noticed that. Chameleonaire was lucky enough to get the chance to meet him. He was a huge fan of Jordan, and like any fan, he asked him if he could take a picture with him. But instead of taking one, the NBA player bluntly said no, calling the fan a slur. If that wasn't harsh enough, he continued to tell him that he would take a picture, but only if Chameleonaire paid him $15,000 for one of his old jerseys. Michael Jordan clearly has a pretty big ego, and this isn't the only time we've seen it in public. In fact, he even turned his Hall of Fame speech all about himself. When Michael Jordan was inducted into the Hall of Fame with a landslide vote, it wasn't a shock to anyone. Some even thought the rules should have been changed so he could have entered sooner. During his speech, instead of being grateful for such a big opportunity, Jordan started flaunting his own ego. He only thanked his family and then said he felt sorry for them. And to top it off, he called out anyone with whom he even had grudges. It was a clear indication that Jordan's speech at the Hall of Fame was more about him than anything else, shining a light on his selfishness and his pettiness. That's why this is one of Jordan's most infamous moments. It really shows the kind of person he is at his core. It seems like Michael Jordan always had a rocky relationship with his family. He didn't even let them come to his playoff games. Michael Jordan enjoyed having a good time, and he wasn't one to let anything, not even his family, get in the way of that. It's rumored that Jordan didn't want his family around during the playoffs or NBA Finals games. He used excuses like wanting to focus or not wanting to interrupt their schedules, but some people think it was because he wanted to be free, to party, to gamble, and to sleep around as much as he pleased. Perhaps Jordan felt like having his family around would have held him back from doing what he wanted during those times. Whatever the reason, it's clear that Jordan enjoyed his freedom when it came to the playoffs and finals games. And well, it's not just his family, but even the people he called friends. He pretended to be friends with Charles Barkley. And Michael Jordan has done some pretty horrible stuff, but this one has to be up there with one of the worst. The year Jordan spent at the Eastern Conference Finals in Atlanta, he decided to become friends with Charles Barkley, who was a rival back then. Still, he kept partying with him, hanging out, and even gambling with him. It really seemed like they were on track to becoming best friends or something of the sort. Jordan even bought him a $20,000 diamond earring, but it meant nothing to him. According to him, he only did all that so Barkley wouldn't be too happy to cover him during the NBA Finals. Just to rub salt in the wounds, the NBA player started insulting his physical appearance. Wow, real classy, Michael. It's pretty obvious that Michael Jordan doesn't really respect the rival team's players, but it's the same with his own team players too. He threatened to beat up Robert Parrish. Robert Parrish was an NBA Hall of Famer before he even retired, having helped lead the Boston Celtics to 3 world championships in the 1980s with his amazing center play. In his final season, he chose to sign with the Chicago Bulls, hoping that it would lead him to one last championship before retiring. But Michael Jordan had other plans. Jordan didn't think that Parrish deserved any respect because of his veteran status and treated him like a threat instead. In team practices, Jordan made sure to let Parrish know that he wasn't above him and threatened to beat him up if he stepped out of line. Parrish was unfazed, standing tall at 7 feet and 230 pounds, and informing Jordan that he had no chance of beating him up. Only then did he finally back off and stop threatening him. What do you think was Michael Jordan's worst mistake from this list? We'll see you in the next video.